The survey vessel Luminous Path moved slowly through the darkness of space. It was a beautiful ship, long and silver, with lights that glowed soft blue along its sides. Inside, the crew worked quietly at their stations. They had done this 1,000 times before. Find a new star, scan the planets, write a report, move on. Captain stood at the center of the bridge. He was tall, almost 3 meters, with skin that looked like living crystal. When light touched him, he sparkled like a diamond. His people, were one of the oldest races in the Galactic Federation. They had seen many worlds. Nothing surprised them anymore. "We are approaching the yellow star," said his navigator. "There is a small rocky planet in the habitable zone. Should I begin scanning?" Nodded slowly. "Yes, let us see what we have found." The scanner began its work. Numbers and images appeared on the main screen. At first, everything looked normal. A medium-sized planet, blue and green colors, clouds in the atmosphere, water on the surface. Then the detailed scans came in. Crystal skin turned pale. The navigator made a small sound of fear. Around the bridge, every crew member stopped what they were doing and stared at the screen. "This cannot be correct," whispered. "Run the scan again." They ran it again. The results were the same. The planet was a nightmare. The atmosphere contained oxygen at dangerous levels. Oxygen was a corrosive gas that could burn through metal over time. The planet also had massive amounts of water, covering most of its surface. Water was one of the most destructive substances in the universe. But that was only the beginning. The planet had active volcanoes. The ground itself moved and shook. Giant storms covered entire regions, with lightning that could destroy a ship in one strike. The temperature changed wildly from place to place. Some areas were so cold that water became solid. Other areas were so hot that standing there would cook flesh from bone. "Look at the life forms," the science officer said. His voice was shaking. Looked, he wished he had not. The planet was full of predators. Massive creatures with sharp teeth lived in the waters. Poison animals crawled on the ground. Tiny organisms existed everywhere that could invade a body and destroy it from inside. And at the top of it all was a species that had somehow become dominant. "They call themselves humans," the science officer read from intercepted radio signals. "They are everywhere, billions of them." Hal asked, "How could anything survive there?" "I do not know, Captain. Our classification system only goes to Class 10 for this planet. I do not know how to classify it." Made a decision. "We leave now, set a course away from this system." The navigator's hands moved quickly. The ship began to turn. Then everything went wrong. A storm of small rocks hit the ship without warning. On most worlds, such rocks burned up before reaching the surface. But in space, they moved fast and hit hard. Warning lights flashed. Alarms screamed. The ship shook violently. "We have lost the main engine," someone shouted. "Life support is failing." Grabbed his command chair to stay standing. "Send a distress signal. Send it on all channels." The signal went out into the darkness. Did not expect anyone to answer. They were far from Federation space. They were alone near a planet of death. But someone did answer. Far above the deadly planet, a space station hung in orbit. It was called Station, and it belonged to the humans. Captain stood on its command deck, looking at her screens with sharp eyes. She was not tall, but there was strength in the way she held herself. Her black hair was tied back in a simple style. Her uniform was clean and practical. "Captain," said Lieutenant, her second in command, "we have received a distress signal, unknown vessel, unknown language." Walked to a station and looked at the data. "Can you translate it?" "Working on it now." His fingers moved fast. "Got it. They are damaged, life support failing, requesting help." "How many life forms on board?" "Scans show 12. Did not hesitate. Prepare a rescue team. I want them on that ship in 20 minutes. Looked at her with surprise. "Captain, we do not know what they are. This could be dangerous." "They are people in trouble," said simply. "We help people in trouble. That is what we do." 20 minutes later, a small shuttle left station. Inside were 6 humans in rescue gear. They moved fast through space, reaching the damaged alien vessel. On board the luminous path, watched through a window as the shuttle approached. He saw the humans inside. They wore simple suits but not the heavy environmental protection he expected. As the shuttle connected to his ship, he realized something that made his crystal skin crack with fear. The humans opened the airlock. They stepped into his ship. They were breathing the same air. They were not wearing helmets. One of them, a young woman with a kind smile, looked around at the damaged corridor. "Nice ship," she said to her teammate. "A bit cold, though. Feels like autumn back home." Cold, the ship's internal temperature was exactly perfect for life. For humans, it should be freezing. Another human looked out a window at the storm of rocks still passing by. "Pretty busy out there today. Must be that asteroid field we passed last week." They were joking. They were laughing. They were treating this disaster like it was nothing. Realized he was shaking. These creatures were impossible. They breathed poison. They ignored cold. They flew through deadly rock storms and called it a normal day. What kind of monsters had he found? The young woman with the kind smile saw him and walked over. She held out her hand. "Hello there, I am rescue specialist. We are here to help. Do not worry, you are safe now." Safe with humans. Was not sure that was possible. But he had no choice. He reached out with his crystal hand and touched hers. Her skin was warm, too warm, like she had a fire burning inside her. Made a silent promise to himself. If he survived this, he would warn the entire galaxy about what he had found. Earth, the planet that should not exist, and the humans who somehow called it home. The medical bay on station was clean and bright. Soft lights glowed from the ceiling. Machines beeped quietly. To humans, it was a place of healing and comfort. To and his crew, it was a chamber of horrors. Doctor walked between the beds where they lay. She was a small woman with gentle hands and a warm smile. She had spent 20 years treating humans. Now she was learning that treating aliens was very different. "The gravity is hurting them," she told Captain. "Our normal gravity is too strong. Their bones are not made for it." Nodded. "Can we lower the gravity in this section?" "Already done. I set it to 40%, but even that seems heavy for them." On his bed, listened to every word. 40% of Earth gravity, and it still pressed down on him like a weight. How strong was the pull on the planet below? He did not want to know. The doors opened. A large man walked in. His shoulders were wide. His arms were thick with muscle. His face looked like it was carved from stone, but his eyes were kind. This was Sergeant, head of station security. 2 crew members made sounds of fear when they saw him. Stopped, he looked confused. "Did I do something wrong?" "You scared them," said. She had stayed to help translate. "You are very big." "I am just normal size for a human," said. "That is the problem," replied with a small laugh. Watched the giant human carefully, moved to the side of the room and stood quietly. Despite his frightening size, he seemed to be trying to make himself smaller, less threatening. It was strange behavior for such a powerful creature. Over the next several days, began to document everything he saw. He used a small recording device hidden in his crystal hand. He needed evidence. The Federation had to know what humans were really like. The first horror was their food. Watched a human named eat something red and orange. The human put it in his mouth and chewed. His face turned red. Water appeared in his eyes, but he smiled and kept eating. "What is that?" asked. "It is called kimchi," she said. "It is vegetables with spices, very tasty." "But he is crying. It is hurting him." Laughed. No, the spice just makes his eyes water. He enjoys it." Checked his scanner. The spice contained something called capsaicin. It was a chemical weapon. Plants made it to stop animals from eating them, and humans ate it for pleasure. The second horror was their pets. A crew member on the station had a small animal in her room. It had 4 legs, sharp teeth and claws that could cut through flesh. It was called a cat. "Is it not dangerous?" asked. "No, she is sweet." The human picked up the predator and held it against her chest. The animal made a rumbling sound. "See, she is purring. That means she is happy." Learned that many humans kept such predators in their homes. They kept even larger ones called dogs. They slept next to these animals. They let these animals near their children. They called them family. The third horror was their healing. Doctor treated a human who had been hurt during the rescue mission. The human, a young man, had a deep cut on his arm. Blood came out of the wound. Red blood, iron-based blood, the same metal that used to build ships. Doctor cleaned the wound and closed it with small strings. "You will be fine," she told the patient. "It will heal in a few weeks. You might have a scar." "Cool," the young man said. "Scars are interesting." A few weeks, the wound would close by itself. The human body would rebuild its own flesh, and the human was happy about the permanent mark it would leave. Could not heal like that. A wound that deep would be fatal without immediate advanced treatment. The fourth horror was sleep. Could not believe what he saw when he walked past the crew quarters at night. Humans lay completely still in their beds. Their eyes were closed. They did not move for hours. They were completely helpless. "This is normal?" he asked the next day. "Yes, we sleep every night, about 8 hours. But you cannot see, you cannot hear well, anyone could attack you." Shrugged, "I guess that is true, but we need sleep. Without it we get sick and eventually die." So humans had a weakness, but they dealt with it by simply trusting that nothing would kill them in the darkness. The confidence of apex predators. The fifth horror was the worst. Learned about something called persistence hunting. Long ago, before humans built cities, they hunted animals by chasing them. Not fast chasing, slow chasing. They would follow an animal for hours, days. The animal would run and run, but the humans would keep coming, never stopping, never giving up, until the animal was too tired to run anymore. Humans were not the fastest creatures on their planet, but they were the ones that never quit. They would chase prey until it died from exhaustion. And some humans still did this for fun. They called it marathon running. After 10 days on the station, Ambassador Myra came to visit. She was a tall woman with silver hair and calm eyes. She smiled at and spoke in perfect language. "We would like to invite you to visit Earth," she said, "to see our home, to understand us better." Wanted to refuse. Every part of his mind screamed that this was a bad idea, but he was a scientist. He needed more data. "I accept," he said. The shuttle ride down to Earth was the most terrifying experience of his life. The craft shook and burned as it entered the atmosphere. Flames appeared outside the windows. The humans talked and laughed as if this was normal. They landed in a city called Seoul. Millions of humans lived there. Buildings reached toward the sky. Vehicles moved in every direction. The noise was incredible. And then the sky turned dark. Water began to fall from the clouds. Thunder shook the air. Lightning split the heavens. "What is happening?" screamed. "Is this an attack?" "This," Ambassador Myra looked up at the sky. "This is just rain, a small storm, it will pass." Small storm. The lightning could destroy a building, and humans walked through it with small shields called umbrellas. Then the ground shook, fell. His crew cried out in terror. "Earthquake," a human said, checking a small device. "Only 3.2, nothing to worry about." Nothing to worry about. The planet was trying to kill them, and they were not worried. That night sent his message to the Galactic Federation. He used every emergency channel. He made sure everyone would hear. Do not engage, do not provoke. The humans are not survivors of it, they are its apex predators. They eat poison, they bond with killers, they heal from death. They never stop coming, and they think all of this is normal. Earth is class 13. There is nothing above it. Stay away. For the love of all that is sacred, stay away. He sent the message. Then he looked out the window at the human city below, lit up with a million lights, beautiful and terrifying. What had the galaxy gotten itself into? The message from spread across the galaxy like fire. Every species heard it. Every government analyzed it. Every military leader watched the videos he had attached. Videos of humans eating poison. Videos of humans walking through lightning storms. Videos of humans laughing as their planet tried to kill them. Fear spread faster than the message itself. On the great station Eternal Accord, the Galactic Council gathered for an emergency meeting. Representatives from 100 species filled the massive chamber. Some floated in the air. Some stood on many legs. Some existed as pure energy in special containers. They were all scared. High Arbiter sat at the center of it all. He was ancient, older than most civilizations. His body was long and silver like a snake made of metal. His eyes glowed with soft blue light. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species evolve and die. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until now. They cannot be real, said a delegate from the Hollow Worlds. The data must be wrong. I it myself, said another delegate. It is real, all of it. Then we must act, shouted a third voice. Before they spread, before they find us. The chamber exploded with noise. Everyone was talking at once. Everyone was afraid, raised one long arm, and slowly the noise died down. What do you propose? He asked quietly. Destruction, said the military commander of the fleet. We strike now while they are contained in their system. We burn their planet. We end the threat. They have done nothing to us, another delegate argued. We cannot murder an entire species for being dangerous. They are too dangerous to leave alone. Then we quarantine them. We seal their system. We make sure they never leave. Listen to all of it. He thought about the videos he had seen. Humans running through fire to save each other. Humans treating the wounded with gentle hands. Humans offering help to strangers from another world. They rescued crew, said. They did not have to, they gained nothing from it, yet they risked their lives to help. The chamber fell silent. I will go, said. I will meet these humans. I will learn if they are monsters or merely different. On Earth, the news of the alien message caused chaos. Different groups wanted different things. Some people were angry, some were scared, some were excited to meet new friends. The governments of Earth met and argued for days. Generals stood in the Defense Command Center, watching screens that showed ships being prepared for battle. He was an old soldier with gray hair and hard eyes. He had fought in 3 wars. He did not want to fight a 4th. We do not know their full strength, he told his staff. We do not know how many ships they have. We do not know their weapons. We only know they are afraid of us. Is that good or bad? Asked Commander. She was young for her rank but brilliant. Her ship was the pride of Earth's small fleet. Both said, scared enemies are dangerous enemies. They might attack first. Ambassador Myra entered the room. She had been talking to for hours, trying to understand the situation. The Federation is sending a delegation. High Arbiter himself is coming. With how many ships? Asked. 12, they call it an honor guard. We call it a fleet. Myra nodded. I know, but we must try for peace. War with the entire galaxy is not something we can win. Can we? Everyone turned to look at. She had asked the question quietly. Can we win? She asked again. If we had to. No one answered. No one knew. The Federation fleet arrived 1 week later. 12 ships, each one beautiful and strange. They were made of materials humans had never seen. They moved in ways that seemed to ignore physics. They were clearly advanced, clearly powerful. and they were clearly nervous. Watched Earth grow larger in his. It was a blue and green jewel wrapped in white clouds. It looked peaceful from space. But he knew what lived down there. He knew what those clouds could do. He knew what waited beneath that blue water. Humans have sent one ship to meet us, his aide reported. One ship. Looked at it on the screen. It was small, maybe a third the size of his own vessel. It was rough and practical, without the elegant curves of Federation design. It looked like it had been built to survive, not to impress. That is his aide said, named after an ancient human warrior king. Of course it was named after a warrior. The communications channel opened. A human face appeared on screen. Commander, she was young, with sharp eyes and short dark hair. She did not smile, but she did not threaten either. Welcome to the Sol system, she said. Earth greets the Galactic Federation in peace and friendship. We hope this meeting brings understanding between our peoples. Leaned forward. Thank you, Commander. I am High Arbiter. I come with questions. We have answers. I am sure you do, but will they be the truth? His eyes narrowed slightly. Humans lie sometimes. I will not pretend otherwise, but I will tell you this truth. We do not want war. We did not ask to be born on a difficult planet. We did not choose to be what we are, but we are choosing right now to reach out in friendship. The negotiations took place on station. Neutral ground. Ambassador Myra led the human team. A young translator who spoke 15 languages sat beside her. General watched from Earth, ready to act if needed. Asked many questions about human history, about human wars, about human weapons. Myra answered honestly, hiding nothing. Yes, humans had fought each other. Yes, millions had died. Yes, they had created weapons that could destroy their own planet. But we stopped, Myra said. We could have destroyed ourselves. We chose not to. We could have let our planet die. We chose to save it. Every generation we choose. Sometimes we choose wrong, but we keep trying to choose better. Other species were never given that choice, said a Federation delegate. We quarantined them for the safety of all. Quarantine, Myra's voice was cold. You mean prison forever, without trial, without crime. For the greater good. Whose good? The room was tense. Hands moved toward weapons, then raised his arm. Enough, we did not come here to threaten, we came to understand. But not everyone in the Federation agreed. 3 ships broke formation. They powered their weapons. On the alarms screamed. They are firing, someone shouted. The world turned to chaos. Light filled the ship shook, grabbed her command chair as explosions rocked the hull. Shields holding, her crew reported, but we cannot take many more hits. Looked at the Federation fleet, 3 ships attacking, 9 doing nothing. Ship was backing away, not fighting. She had seconds to decide. Fight back and start a war with the entire galaxy, or die and let Earth be seen as weak. Or a third option. All power to engines, she ordered. We are not running and we are not dying. We are going to show them who we are. The shot forward straight toward the enemy ships, straight toward death. And Commander smiled. The flew into hell. 3 enemy ships poured fire at her. The shields flickered and screamed. Holes appeared in the hull. Air rushed out into space. Warning lights covered every screen. But the ship did not stop. It flew faster. Commander stood at her command chair, gripping the metal rail so hard her knuckles turned white. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks flew from damaged systems. Her crew was bleeding, bruised, and scared. None of them ran. Ensign shouted, "I need a miracle." Was 23 years old. She had been flying shuttles for 2 years. She had never been in real combat. Her hands shook over the controls. But when she heard her commander's voice, something changed in her eyes. "I have an idea," said. "It is dangerous." "How dangerous?" "The computer says it is impossible." Laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had nothing left to lose. Do it. Push the engines to maximum, then beyond maximum. The ship groaned. Metal screamed. She aimed straight at the gap between two enemy vessels, a space so small that no pilot should try to fly through it. The alien computers calculated her path. Impossible, they said. Suicidal. No logical being would attempt it. They did not understand humans. Flew through the gap. The scraped against one enemy ship, tearing a wound in its side. The other ship tried to turn, too slow, and crashed into its ally. Both vessels spun away, damaged and burning. One enemy left. But there was dying. The main weapon was destroyed. Half the engines were gone. Life support was failing. Deep in the ship, Chief Engineer worked in darkness. Power had failed in his section. He used a flashlight held in his teeth. His hands moved fast, connecting wires, rerouting systems, keeping the ship alive through pure stubborn will. Then the worst happened. A hole opened in the wall beside him. The explosive decompression tried to pull him into space. He grabbed a pipe with one hand. With the other, he grabbed a metal plate. "Get out of there!" someone screamed through his communicator. He did not get out. Instead, he pulled the metal plate against the hole. The vacuum of space pulled at him. The cold bit into his fingers. His lungs burned. He held the plate in place with his body. "Seal it," he shouted. "Seal it now." His team rushed to help. They welded the plate in place while held on. By the time they finished, his hands were blue and his face was gray. But he was alive, and so was the ship. On the bridge, communications officer caught something on her screen. "Commander, I am intercepting a transmission." "From who?" "The attacking ships. They are talking to someone in the main Federation fleet. They are receiving orders." Understood immediately. This was not a random attack. Someone in the Federation had planned this. Someone wanted war. "Put it on speaker," she ordered. The bridge filled with alien voices. Orders to destroy the human ship. Orders to blame the humans for firing first. Orders to start a war that would end with Earth in ashes. "Record everything," said. "Make sure everyone hears this." The last enemy ship was turning for another attack run. They had almost nothing left. One more hit would finish her. Opened a channel to the entire Federation fleet. Her voice was calm, too calm. "This is Commander of the... I know you are listening. I know some of you ordered this attack. I want you to watch what happens next." She turned to her crew. They were broken and bleeding. They were scared. But they looked at her with complete trust. "All hands," she said, "prepare to ram." The turn toward the last enemy ship. Her remaining engines fired. She began to accelerate, aiming straight at the enemy's heart. The alien captain panicked. He tried to run, but the human ship was faster now, driven by desperation and fury. It closed the distance in seconds. At the last moment, gave a final order. "Send our recorded transmission to every ship, every station, every planet in range." Done. The struck the enemy vessel. Not a full collision, but a glancing blow that tore both ships apart. The alien vessel broke in half. The human ship spun away, crippled but intact. And then Earth responded. High Arbiter watched in shock as space around Earth came alive. Hidden platforms revealed themselves. Defense satellites powered up. And ships, hundreds of ships, emerged from behind the moon, from orbital stations, from places the Federation had not even detected. Earth had never been undefended. The humans had hidden their true strength, hoping they would never need to use it. General appeared on every Federation screen. He was old and tired and very, very angry. "We did not want this," he said. "We reached out in peace. We welcomed you to our home, and you tried to murder our people." The Federation fleet was surrounded, trapped. "I could destroy all of you," continued. "Right now, my finger is on the button. Every instinct I have tells me to push it." Held his breath. The galaxy held its breath. "But I am not going to," said, because that is not who we want to be." He lowered his hand. "The ships that attacked us were following orders. We have the transmission. We know who is responsible. Give us those people and the rest of you can go. We will not fire unless you force us to." Silence. Then slowly, the Federation ships began to power down their weapons. "Opened a channel. General, I must ask, if you have this power, if you could have destroyed us, why did you hide it? Why did you let us think you were weak?" His face was hard, but when he spoke his voice was soft. "Because we hoped we would never need it. We hoped you would see us as friends. We still hope that." He paused. "Do not make us lose hope, Arbiter. You would not like what we become when we have nothing left to hope for." The crisis ended. The rogue faction was arrested. Their leaders were handed over to human courts where they would receive something the Federation had never seen: a fair trial, evidence, defense, judgment by law, not by power. It terrified the Federation more than the weapons had. On the ruined bridge of the commander finally sat down. Her legs could not hold her anymore. Was being treated for burns. Was in critical condition but stable. Was crying quietly at her station. They had survived. They had won. And they had shown the galaxy something it had never understood. Humans were not just dangerous. They were dangerous and merciful, dangerous and fair, dangerous and good. That was the most frightening thing of all. Looked at Earth from his. The blue planet glowed in the darkness. Beautiful and terrible. Home to creatures that could have destroyed his fleet but chose not to. He whispered a question that no one else heard. A question that would change everything. "What made you this way?" Asked his question to Ambassador Myra 1 week after the battle. They stood together on station, looking down at Earth through a wide window. "What made you this way?" he repeated. "So dangerous and yet so kind, so violent and yet so gentle. I have seen many species, Ambassador. None of them are like you." Myra thought for a long moment. "Would you like to find out?" And so began the strangest journey of ancient life. A group of Federation observers joined a human expedition across Earth. Scientists and diplomats from 12 species, led by an old human professor named. He had white hair and kind eyes and walked with a cane, but his mind was sharp. "To understand humans," said, "you must understand our home, and our home tried to kill us every single day." Their first stop was the Sahara Desert. The heat was beyond anything the aliens had experienced. Their suits worked hard to keep them cool. Even then, they felt like they were standing inside a fire. Stood in the sand without special protection. Sweat ran down his face. He smiled. "Humans lived here," he said, "for thousands of years. They learned to find water under the sand. They learned to travel at night. They learned to survive." "How?" asked one observer. "There is nothing here, no food, no water, only death." "Yes," agreed, "only death, but we refuse to accept it." Their second stop was Antarctica. The cold was even worse than the heat. Ice covered everything. Wind cut like knives. The observers huddled inside their protective vehicles, watching through windows as walked outside. "Humans reached this place over 100 years ago," he said. "They walked here, pulled their supplies on sleds. Many died, but they kept coming." "Why?" asked. "Because it was there. Because we wanted to know what was beyond the horizon. Because giving up is not in our nature." Their third stop was the ocean. They took a special vessel down into the depths. The pressure would have crushed any normal ship. The darkness was complete. Strange creatures with lights on their bodies swam past. "We have explored more of space than we have explored our own oceans," said. "There are things down here we have never seen. Monsters, maybe. But humans keep diving deeper, keep searching." "You are never satisfied," an observer said. It was not a question. "Never," agreed. "That is our curse and our gift." Their fourth stop was a hospital in Seoul. The aliens watched through a window as surgeons worked on a patient. They cut the human open. They reached inside with their hands. They removed a piece of the body that was damaged and sewed the rest back together. Several observers had to leave the room. "This is how you heal?" asked. His voice was shaking. "Sometimes," said a doctor named. It was the same doctor who had treated Screw. "When our bodies break, we fix them, with knives and needles and thread. We take parts from the dead and put them in the living. We refuse to let death take us easily." "It is barbaric," an observer whispered. "It is survival," replied calmly. "We do what we must." Their final stop was a playground. Small humans ran and climbed and jumped. They fell from high places, they scraped their knees, they cried, and then, minutes later, they got up and did it again. Watched a small girl fall from a climbing structure. She hit the ground hard. Blood appeared on her leg. She screamed. Her mother ran to her, cleaned the wound, put a small bandage on it, said something soft. The girl nodded, wiped her tears, and ran back to play. "She fell," said. "She was hurt. Why does she go back?" A young woman stood beside him. Her name was. She was a student, only 20 years old, helping with the tour. Beside her stood a young alien observer about her age, a small being with 4 arms and curious eyes. "Because falling is how we learn," said. "We fall down, it hurts. We get up. We try again. Every human who ever lived learned to walk by falling first." The young alien looked at her. "You are not afraid of pain." "We are afraid," said, "but we do not let fear stop us. That is what makes us human." The two young beings looked at each other. Different species, different worlds, but in that moment they understood each other perfectly. Held out her hand. The alien reached out with one of its 4 arms and took it. "Friends?" asked. "Friends," the alien agreed. Watched this small moment. A young human and a young alien holding hands. No fear, no anger, just curiosity and hope. Maybe the future would be different. Maybe the next generation could do better. 1 month later, the Galactic Federation voted. The decision was almost unanimous. Humanity was invited to join as full members. The ceremony took place on Earth's moon. The great station floated nearby, fully repaired. Commander was there, still healing from her injuries but standing straight. General was there, his hard face showing something that might have been pride. Was there, the alien who had started everything, watching with wonder. Ambassador Myra gave the final speech. "You asked what made us this way," she said. "The answer is everything. Every ice age that froze our ancestors, every drought that starved them, every predator that hunted them, every disease that tried to kill them. Earth is a class 13, the most dangerous planet ever classified, and it is our home." She paused, looking out at the crowd of humans and aliens together. "We did not become dangerous because we wanted to hurt others. We became dangerous because we had to survive. Every scar on our planet, every disaster in our history, every moment of pain and struggle, it all made us who we are. Strong, stubborn, impossible to kill." Her voice grew soft. "But survival is not enough. Any animal can survive. What makes us human is what we do after we survive. We build, we create, we love. We reach out to strangers and call them friends. We look at the stars and dream of going there. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to explore, to discover, to find others like us." She smiled. "You were afraid of us, I understand. We are afraid of ourselves sometimes. We know what we can do. We know the darkness inside us. But we also know the light, and we choose every day to reach for the light." "Welcome to the family," Myra said. "We are glad you are here." The crowd cheered. Humans and aliens together, different bodies, different minds, but in that moment, one people. Stood at the edge of the ceremony, looking at Earth rising over the moon's horizon. The blue planet glowed, beautiful and deadly. He had seen many worlds. He had watched empires rise and fall. This was different. This was something new. A voice came from beside him. It was the captain whose distress call had started everything. "I was wrong about them," said. "I thought they were monsters." And now asked. Was quiet for a moment, then he spoke. "Now I think they are the most remarkable species I have ever seen. Dangerous, yes, but also beautiful, also kind, also hopeful." He looked at the blue planet. "Class 13, he said. "The most dangerous planet in the galaxy, the home of humanity," he paused. "And they call it beautiful." Nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "they do." Far below on Earth, life continued. Children played, people loved, storms raged and passed. Earthquakes shook the ground and buildings stood strong. The sun rose and set, and humans lived and died and were remembered. They were the children of a. They had been forged in fire and ice and blood. And they had turned all that pain into something wonderful. They had turned it into hope.